Hey guys, welcome to 321 Showcasing the Space Coast. I'm Henry Mims with England Brokers, and today I'm here to get the 321 on the house, and I'm here with Pastor Kenny.
Good to be here, Henry.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad for you actually taking the time to be here with me. I know that there's a lot of things that you guys have been doing as far as giving back to the community, which is the thing that excites me the most about being here. But before we get into all that makes the house a house and what you do, tell us a little bit about how it all began, where you came from, basically the road to where you are now.
It's a long story, but we're going to make it short. I come from a divorced home. My wife comes from a divorced home. She comes from an abusive, alcoholic, actual fist-fighting home where she never heard the words "I love you." I come from a divorced home. We met in Venezuela.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was 3 years old when my dad was transferred by the Nabisco company, the cookie company.
Really?
Yeah. And so we were at 3 years old. I thought I'd follow my dad, so we went down to Venezuela. And over the years that I spent there, I met Betsy. And coming from divorced homes, of course, we have a lot of baggage,
right.
A lot of psychological issues, if you want to call it that. And but we got married. We thought we were going to make it go.
Mm-hmm.
And but as true to form, when you have a lot of baggage, and we both bring baggage into a marriage, that's a sure recipe for a disaster,
mm-hmm.
just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
However, when we were 8 years married and just at the right time, we gave our lives to Jesus Christ, and it transformed our marriage. We unloaded the baggage, and basically we stopped the curse of divorce in our family and in our children. And so our desire, when we gave our lives to Jesus some 3 years later, we just had a heart to want to reach out to families, make a difference in people's lives, to help them go through the process that we went through to have a new start, a new beginning,
right.
And to build a family that actually is healthy, a healthy
right.
family. And so the church, the house, has that kind of connotations in the sense that a house speaks of a home,
mm-hmm.
speaks of relationship.
Right.
And so in this house, we build a family of families that are interacting with each other, helping one another, and reaching out to the community to promote healthy families.
Yeah, that's a blessing. And touching on what you said, it can be an arduous task, especially, Love and I, we blended families.
Yeah.
And from two completely different backgrounds. And a lot of people think that all it takes is love. It also takes understanding. It also takes a lot of patience and some humor.
It sure does.
Like, for the 15th time you did what? Okay, but and especially with the baggage and previous in life. You know what I mean?
That is so true. I like the analogy of gold. In gold, we're 48 years, going to be 48 years married. 2 more years, we'll have our golden anniversary.
Wow, that's 5 years older than I am.
Okay.
But you're young, though.
Yeah, we're young.
You're younger than I am.
We must have started when we were 3 or something. But in gold, you have fire. They fire it up. It causes impurities to rise. And if you scoop out the impurities, let it cool down, fire it up again, and go through that process, that's what makes 8-karat gold, 12-karat gold. The more firing, the more impurities that rise, the more you scoop out till you get the pure gold.
Right.
Well, really, when you get married, that's what it is. You guys we come together, but we got a lot of dirt,
mm-hmm.
a lot of impurities.
Mm-hmm.
But if we, as those impurities rise through the difficulties and trying to understand each other, and if we let God scoop it out, when it cools down, it just becomes a little more pure.
Right.
And so after 50 years of scooping, you finally got what you're supposed to have.
Which you should have just done whatever she said all along, right? I just made it.
Yeah.
I was watching a movie called, I think it's called My Fabulous Greek Wedding, or Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
And the lady says, he's the head of the house, but I'm the neck that turns it any way I want. And then y'all looked at me, I was like, don't you even.
But there's some truth behind that.
It's one of the things that I really do love about what you just touched on with the whole divorce thing, and coming from divorced families and whatnot, is there are a lot of things that go along with that, not just for the adults and divorcing, but also for the kids.
Yeah.
And also the lingering effects as far as, what it is that they believe
Yeah,
later
that's
on
so
down the
true.
road, what equals love, what equals, sometimes they'll fight for attention, sometimes they don't want to be bothered, sometimes they go through all these things.
Yeah.
I've had to go through it with all my kids, and I'm a divorced dad.
Okay.
And I remarried with Danielle. So all the things you're touching on, yeah, but it's kind of funny because you said about the gold. Yeah, I mean, we have these, and everybody has them, but you have these head-to-head clashes.
You do. Everybody does.
And I think one of the things that really separated this one from the last one is, not to speak on anything from before, but it's kind of where we're trying to get at a different place than where I was before.
Yes.
And it's a place of, even though we have clashes like you're talking about, which ultimately the divorce would never would with us, is that what do you walk away learning?
That is a good point. If
Yeah.
I look at it this way: we celebrate honest mistakes. If you think about it, no one wakes up in the morning thinking, "How can I really irk my spouse?"
I don't know. You're right.
And so, in the course of life, we do trip, we do fall.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's an honest mistake,
Right.
what happens? Well, we learn from it.
Yeah.
So we celebrate honest mistakes because we can look at it and we can say, okay, what went wrong? What can we do different? How can we cross this bridge better the next time we encounter that bridge?
Mm-hmm.
So that we can get to the other side and not fall off into the water and end up drowning. And if we take that, and of course, as a Christian, I believe the Bible is the instruction booklet. If we just do it His way, you'll get to the other side. And so we celebrate honest mistakes.
Right.
In other words, no one's waking up with, I want to mess up my spouse today. No, life happens. When it happens, we trip, we fall. Okay, so let's pick each other up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's learn from it, and let's navigate this better the next time we go at it. And the more you do it, it's like you're in competition and you're learning how to do bars.
Right.
You're going to mess up. You get back up on the bars. You do it again and again until finally you nail it with a two
Right.
stand. You dismount and you nail it.
Right.
How do you do that? Practice, forgiveness, constant practicing.
Not just forgiving them, but forgiving yourself too.
And forgiving yourself. Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Are you preaching?
Yeah. But that was one of the biggest things because if people have watched the interviews long enough or other interviews I've done, my background is a little spotty to say the least.
Who doesn't have one?
Yeah. So but it's just and for a long time I would think about I gotta forgive them for what they've done, but then I started to realize that me forgiving them sometimes is just me letting go of, I'm not going to be tied to that anymore.
That's what it is.
I'm not going to be held down anymore. I'm not going to be doing any of those things. And I think that's one of the biggest problems because even with, like, for example, I was a drug addict for a long time. Some people say still are, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things was that I felt like, and I don't think enough people talk about this with drug addiction, when you are trying to quit a drug, it feels like you are divorcing somebody. It almost feels like you're killing a part of yourself, and you don't want to kill yourself. You don't want to kill a part of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a hard battle. It's not just the physical part, it's the mental part that,
Well, that's a good analogy.
so.
And yet killing that part is the essence to be free. You do have to kill it.
And it's so hard.
So but it is hard.
So hard.
And that's where I go, we need extra help. And in our lives, that's where Jesus Christ came in, and He was the one who helped us. I mean, my wife, imagine a dad who never said I love you, screaming, causing one of her sisters actually pee in her pants.
Oh, wow.
Every time he heard his voice like that, where there was actual fist fights. That marks you.
Oh, it does.
It does mark you. But when she was able to kill that past through the one that was helping her, Jesus, not only was she free, but now she's free to live. We have the capacity to actually project what someone else did into the life of someone else. So who's the next father in line if it wasn't her husband? So because she still had unresolved issues with her dad, it created baggage or problems within our own marriage because she had to let go of her past so that she can live in the present. As long as you're living in the past, since the past cannot be changed, then you're stuck there and you don't change either. When you release the past, now you can live for the present and the future. And when she was able to let go of her dad, she was able to live fully the life of love with me, because she no longer was bound to her past.
So what did you have to break free from in order
I
to make
had-
it work with her?
Yeah,
Two-way
I had
street,
to break.
right?
Yeah, it's a two-way street. So I was brought up in our family that Ken, if I can be frank, are we allowed to be frank here?
Yes.
He said, Ken, if you can't get something at home, there's a lot of women out there. Just go get it out in the street.
Mm.
And so I had to break the mentality of the world thinking that sex is free,
Uh-huh.
and that the bonds of matrimony are breakable.
Yeah.
Well, he broke his, and given time, I would have broken mine.
Wow, that is profound right there.
So I had to let go of
Talk about some
past.
honesty.
Yeah.
Hi, I love this.
Yeah. I had to break go of my past, my teachings that caused all the problems within my siblings because of my parents' divorce. So then I could love her fully and be free from my past so that I could live for the future with her. So we both had our baggage. We both had our wrong teachings, our wrong experiences. And like you said, who doesn't have a past?
Right.
And so, it is what it is. In this sense, when I was 16, my dad, I'm against the human trafficking.
Right. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But at 16, my dad took me to a place where there was human trafficking and says, I'm going to make a man out of it.
Oh, wow.
And so imagine what that did to my psyche, my thinking process, my values of honoring women. It messed me up. It was like a virus hit a computer. And it just started shutting down every aspect of my life into self-destruction, had not something changed in my life.
And a lot of people don't realize, when I was a lot younger, I was a part of organizations that would go and they would grab them and get them out. And because, it's a little thing. Like, for example, you'll see kids in the grocery store, 17, 18 years old, and they have faded tattoos on their wrist.
Yeah.
That's branding. And so those are the things that I was trained to look for, and this and that. I mean, it was just a whole big mess, and people don't realize it's been around for so long.
Yeah.
But one of the things people don't realize also is prostitution, all those things. And you have some, the girls that go into clubs, for example.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to do? And all they're going in there to do is to get you somewhere and get your stuff.
And that's why I love supporting Kim Curry with a new.
Yeah.
She goes out into the locations where that is so prevalent. And because my mind now is free from my past, and you could say that the light turned on and said, this is wrong.
Right.
Now we support people just like Kim Curry with a new in reaching out and trying to help those who, through their experiences, are held in bondage of their lifestyles to be free like I'm free. And so we reach out to into the clubs, to those people specifically, and to help them find a way out of a self-destructive lifestyle.
And people think it doesn't work, by the way, but back in 1990, I want to say 98, it was before I went to Miami, so it was probably 98. When you get older, the years get smaller. It's just like, okay. I had a friend of mine, I was waiting tables, and I had a friend of mine that she got hooked onto meth, which is a very dangerous drug. And so she got hooked onto meth, and then she started stripping. Well, I was talking to her, and I was like, look, your parents are very well off. You have all these things going for you, but yet you're stuck on meth, and now you're stripping.
Yeah.
And she thought I was judging her because she was on meth, and I'm like, no. I have my own past. I can't judge you.
Yeah.
I have my own past, so. And one of the things that happened was she stopped waiting tables and got deeper into the stripping. Well, when she got deeper into the stripping, she started becoming very well known and started going to New Orleans, all these different things. Well, in those trips,
Yeah.
She fell in with some bad people. And then all of a sudden, they basically owned her.
Wow.
And I remember she came to, and this was out of Pace, Florida, which is right outside Pensacola, between
Okay.
Pensacola and Milton.
Yeah.
And she came out there and she came to my house unannounced. And she was like, hey, you know, look like crap, like scab. I mean, just from, you see a beautiful woman, and then you
Wow.
see, who is this? It's almost like a shell.
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't want it no more. Now, I wasn't in the church at the time.
Yeah.
She said, I don't want this anymore, but I have to, and this and that. And I was like, no, you don't actually. So what ended up happening was later on, she went to go work because she was doing a showcase at a local strip club. And some of the people that I ran with, they went in there and they grabbed her. And she left.
Beautiful.
Disappeared. I don't know where she's gone. I don't know where she is. But I do know she's out of there.
That's beautiful.
And it's just, I think that if more people came together in that regard,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I heard over and over and over again is how people would think of them.
Yeah.
You know, because if somebody comes up to most people and they say, oh, I was a prostitute. Oh, I was a stripper.
Yeah.
Oh, I was a drug dealer. Oh, I was a this.
And the beauty of Anew is that they actually expunge their past. They are really free from their past. There's no record of what they've done, what they've been
It's
charged
amazing.
with, and now they can start fresh and
Right.
go, this is a new life.
And I actually got to meet some of them
Wow.
up at the gala when we had.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I did an interview with her probably 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, and I also did, the tattoo artist, Robert.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I interviewed him.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and all those people coming together, because I think the sooner that we as a society can turn around and say, hey, it doesn't matter what you did 10 years ago.
That's right.
What are you doing now?
That is correct.
One of the things that did happen, another thing that happened in my past with all the bad people that I ran with,
Mm-hmm.
that have now changed their lives. Some of them are murderers, some of them are thieves, gangbangers, all these things. Some of them are preachers now. Some of them have tried to go be nurses. The pastors have been expunged and stuff. Some of them gone on to be nurses. They give back to the community. They do nonprofits for a low-income housing. They all those things.
Wow.
And it shows people can change.
Yeah.
Seasons do change.
Yeah.
Just because they were in summer doesn't mean they're still in summer 30 years later. They could
Come
be
on.
in fall.
That's
It's a different
good.
season.
That's good.
So with all that happened with you and Betsy, and all that you did through the divorces, as time went on,
Mm-hmm.
we had kids.
Yeah.
And so what was that kind of like when you were trying to navigate those waters? Because you're still kind of coming in new, especially when you have kids for the first time. You don't know what you don't know, right?
that's so true.
Like, okay.
There's a saying that is so applicable. On the first son or the first child you have, it's like they're about to fall and you're already catching them
Yeah,
because you don't want them to get hurt.
right.
The second one came along and it was like you have that initial and then you just they'll be all right. The third one,
Bouncing
let
all
them
over.
bounce and they'll be all right. So it is a learning process. But I would say that because of the teachings that we received through the Word of God, the navigation of our 3 children was so much easier.
Okay.
We never had to worry about where they were going to be at night,
Mm-hmm.
who they were going to associate with. We didn't have the terrible 3s
Okay.
or the troubling 2s or the teenage years where they go haywire. No, we actually produced 3 children that were healthy, spirit, soul, and body. The 3 actually, 2 of them graduated from high school with an AA degree at the same time. The first one, because it was our first time, we missed it by 1 course.
Oh.
But they saved 2 years of college,
Yeah.
no matter how you slice it or dice it. And all of that because we were able to readjust our values,
Mm-hmm.
find out what was God's way of rearing children, speaking life, keeping communications open. We do learn through our mistakes, right? I mean, you can learn
100%.
either by someone teaching you or by banging your head on the wall until finally you go, that hurts, maybe I'll try the door this time. So we certainly learn from our past mistakes.
Right.
We learn what not to do. But
See, can I touch on that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's what you just said right there. I think that is one of the biggest things that carries with people who are either they have multiple kids
yeah,
or they're blending. Is that you get but you didn't do that with them. I learned better.
You
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true.
That didn't work with you, did it? No, it didn't.
That is
No, I'm
so
not going to do it with them.
That is so true.
You know, they need to suffer like I did. I'm like, well, buddy.
No, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Keep going,
Yeah.
though. You're absolutely right.
So we learned what not to do with our parents and through
Right.
our experiences, but through the Word of God, we learned what to do to create a better future. And
Like
so
training the child up.
it's training the child up. Okay, this didn't work, but what does work? Edison, 900 and I forget 70 times, and his attendant said, and he missed again, and he said, aren't you frustrated? He said, no, I'm not frustrated at all. Now I know this one doesn't work. I'm one closer to knowing how or what will work.
Mm-hmm.
So the blessing of the Word of God is that you don't have to try 997 times. You can actually learn now through what was written by the creator of marriage, what to do so that you can get it right immediately. And so we learned quickly. Like you go to school and someone's teaching you. We learned quickly, this is what you do so that it will work. And there's just, obviously we couldn't explain everything in a short
Right.
meeting here, but because we did learn, we didn't have to go through all the difficulties that so many families find themselves. What I would say though is this: it doesn't matter if it's you just had children or your children are 30 and 40. It's never too late to start.
Right.
I remember an elderly man who was an alcoholic for 40 years.
Okay.
Messed up his family for obvious reasons, who gave his life to Jesus and had a transformation in his life. Even when he asked forgiveness from his children, one of his children angrily said, you think that just by asking forgiveness, you're going to erase what you've done? And yet all of those children had a life change because of his change. It's never too late to start. And your past is irrelevant.
Wow.
You can change your future by getting your past erased, expunged, so that you can live today and you can live for the future.
And whoever's there to receive you is there to receive you.
There you go.
You know, one of the things that really grabbed my attention about you and the things that you do is the things that you do for the community. I mean, you ask around about in the community, they might not know who you are personally.
Yeah.
But you start mentioning things and they go, oh, yeah. One Christmas I had this. Oh, Thanksgiving was this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, they might not know who you are, the person.
Yeah.
But they know your works.
Yeah.
They've experienced it. So how did you get to that place where you said, okay, I want to be able to start building a platform in which I can give?
That's
So how
a
did you get
great
there?
question. That's a great question.
And maybe for anybody who's wondering how to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I always, again, and obviously my foundation is Scripture. I mean, everybody has their foundation, but my foundation is the Scriptures. And so I like what God told Abraham. He says, in your blessing, you will be a blessing. And so if we receive something, it isn't get all you can and can all you get, as the saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
Is if you get, then give.
Right.
If you've received, then give back. So we received a life change. So what do? We want to give it back. So as God placed in our hearts after 3 years, actually 10 years of being following Jesus Christ, God placed in the heart, I want you to start a church. We started in our home with about 30 people to what we have today with God's blessing. But in that we have been changed. We said, how can we change the garden? I'm going to call it a garden. The garden in which I live in. This is Palm Bay is my garden.
Right.
And so and Melbourne, this is extended garden. But how can I give back to the community to enhance and make our community
right.
a better community? And so with that, we're always looking on how can we impact our community to make it better. So certain things just naturally happen.
Right.
If it's the Christmas extravaganza,
Let's talk about it.
wow, this is
Insane.
It is. It's actually the biggest event in Palm Bay. We came out with the figures. The city of Palm Bay came out with the figures. It is the biggest, most attended event in the city of Palm Bay for the whole year. But
Wow.
what is it?
That is amazing.
It is the linking of arms, not just with the church community like Life Point, Center Point, the Rock Church, Bayside West. Oh goodness, there's just too many churches to enumerate them all. But linking that with the business community, because the business community throughout the year has been blessed by their patrons.
Right.
So take for an example, Gator Chrysler Plymouth.
Okay.
Why do they exist? Because people go and they buy cars.
Right.
Thrifty Produce, right next door to us. They exist as a blessing to us. Yes, we buy their produce and their meats because they offer a great price, but they prosper because of the community, and so they use this as an opportunity to say to the community, thank you.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes. See, I get excited about this.
Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
a constant supporter of Christmas extravaganza. Businesses linking with the faith community to give back to the people that Christmas may not be as exciting as it could be, by offering free everything that happens, with over 15,000 people coming throughout the day to this event. We give away
With how many people?
over 15,000.
Wow.
And listen, we don't have 150,000 people in Palm Bay. That means over 10% of the
Wow.
people come. We actually draw people out from Indian River County, from Orange County.
Right,
They
absolutely.
actually come over also. But we give out TVs, bicycles, weekends to remember. I mean, just companies that are giving back through their gift certificates, through products, just so that when they come, everything is, as the saying goes, FREE, free. And it's the people joining together saying, let's have Christmas together. You all supported us throughout the years. Trust me when I say that when you give back, you actually have an opportunity to increase more. There's something about sowing. You sow a tomato seed, you don't get one seed back, you get many tomatoes and many seeds back. And there's something about giving back to the community that actually causes your business to grow more.
100%.
And so we have so many businesses, even the city of Palm Bay. I'm so amazed. We have such a great city manager, city councilman, the Mayor Medina, Suzanne, the city mayor. They actually help create this event. The police department, the fire department, which we give back. We give back by giving them finances to say thank you for what you're doing. It's all about giving and receiving and giving. We give back to the school system through it. And then we hear again and again, they go, how much does it cost? And we say, well, it's free. All of this is free, and the food and the hot dogs and the games and everything's free? Yeah. And they leave. Their children are happy because they have a Christmas to remember. I remember one person, their house had burned up. They were living in their family in a next of kin house, stuck in a room, no finances. And they said, had it not been for the Christmas extravaganza, they won prizes. They said, I don't know what kind of Christmas we would have had. and again and again, people thankful because businesses have joined together with the faith community to create something. Gator Chrysler Plymouth, a constant support to the event. As I mentioned, Chick-fil-A, but so many others. We've got people like Newstown and Al Dia Today, and so many other businesses that are just joining together, linking arms, saying, how can we bless our community and make it a better place?
And one of the things that if you haven't been, and I have, but if you haven't been, it doesn't matter who comes. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your faith. None of that stuff matters.
Just come.
Just come. You know? And I've been there when, someone said, what did he say? It was a Muslim man that came, and I was standing over by a booth, and I forgot what he said. He said basically something like a greeting, and the person said, "Oh, God bless," and they were like, "Oh, my brother," and they walked off, and it was like a Christian and a Muslim. Here we are, and nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. And matter of fact, there was one group of Muslims that actually gave towards it. They were just so amazed.
Beautiful.
At what was happening. They supplied some finances to make it possible. Why? Well, because who objects about giving?
No.
I mean, is it a gift?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And you get a TV, and you get a TV.
Yeah. So it's just a great opportunity, and that's just one of many events. I love my wife's Cherished events. Again, open up to whosoever. But look at what happens in that event. Even in their high tea that they have at Christmas time. First of all, we get hairdressers coming.
Okay.
And they cut hair for free. I remember an amputee that came, had her hair done. She felt better about herself because someone cared enough to be cherished, and that's what it's called. It's called cherished. Right. Cherished her enough to give her a hand wax job, got her fingernails polished, had her hair done for free. If you look better, you feel better.
Right.
And it's an event where hundreds of women come, they get ministered to. We have vendors that join us together where people can go shopping. They have a word of encouragement to bring out the feminine heart and to let them know that they're cherished. Men are actually serving the women so that they understand that they are valuable, they are important. And then at the Christmas high tea, they actually make baskets to give to Anu, who takes it to the strip clubs and actually minister to the women in the strip club.
Really?
Yeah. To encourage them, to let them know you are valuable, you are important. We're thinking about you. We're praying for you. All of this in regards to reaching women, just letting them know, no matter what your background is, no matter what faith you are from, no matter what's going on in your life, come in. You are loved. You are accepted. We want to connect with you. We want to tell you how important you are and how much we love you. And that's our Cherished event.
And when is the Cherished event?
Cherished events happens, I think it's 4 times a year. The Christmas high tea is in December. And then I believe it's I wish I had the dates. I know it's on the website.
Right. Which I'll be putting on the post.
Great, but I believe it's like January, March, April, May, June, and September. Somewhere it's like one every quarter.
Okay.
They have these special events or a worship night. They just have these moments where the women come together and they're touched and ministered to during that time. So it's 4 times a year. Right. The exact dates, I don't remember them off the top of my head.
But the 4 times a year, and if you go on the website, which is going to be on the post, then I should be able to.
There you go.
So you have Cherished, you have a Christmas Extravaganza.
Yeah.
But I'm always hearing about things like, and I've actually participated one year with the
Thanksgiving baskets.
Yeah.
Again, community, thrifty, actually supplies us with a great amount of vegetables to fill baskets. We add the turkeys, we add some extra trimmings, but again, it's the community working with the church, and then reaching out. We work with Love in the Name of Christ, Love Inc.
Okay.
They're reaching out to people who are in hardships. We go and we give to Love Inc. so they can reach those people who are in hardships. Right. We go to the women's shelters. We give baskets to the women's shelters. Again, these are women who have children, and they're, you know, their finances are tight. And then we seek out others who may not have a Thanksgiving, and we go.
Some people out there cannot imagine what it's like to simply not have a Thanksgiving.
That is so true.
Not have a Christmas.
Yeah.
And I love that there's businesses, small businesses,
yeah,
mom and pops, things like that, that they love their community. And this is one of the reasons why I love the smaller churches. I love the smaller businesses, mom and pops, and stuff like that, because those are the people that show up to your baseball games. Those are the people that show up to your door and say, "Have you eaten?" Those are the people that know it's your birthday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Target's never going to say, "Hey, congratulations," unless they want to give me a coupon to go back and shop, which Danielle grabbed a hold of us and then tells me she got a savings. I'm like, "Nah, you just bought a bunch of stuff you didn't need." Is what you did. I want it, you know. So, but that, and that's so important.
Yeah.
And obviously, the things that you're able to do are a direct result of the things that the local businesses are willing to do.
Yeah.
And that comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And you know, it's such a blessing in itself, and it's such a great thing to see.
And not just that. For an example, we've had an auto helps day. We actually want to start an auto mechanic shop.
Okay.
Where we can help those who can't afford fixing, because if you're a mom and you have
I might know some people.
if you have a mom and have children, and you have a choice, do I change the oil or feed my children? What are you going to do?
100. I've been there.
Yeah. And so imagine if we had a shop that actually not only trained young people how to fix their cars, but at the same time, you can reach out to those families who cannot have their oil changed, and have businesses support the changing of oils. So
that's what I'm talking about.
So that these families are helped. The youth are learning something that's going to help them. A trade, where we could actually Martha Melendez and her husband, Lucian, who's a teacher of mechanics, actually wants to help make that happen, so that they can teach them a trade that when they graduate, they actually have something that they can go work for.
That is amazing.
Because if there's something that's lacking today is auto mechanics. They are filled to capacity.
Yep.
And so to have a cooperative effort between church and businesses to touch the young people. I like what Lucian said. He builds a relationship for 9 months. He's impacting their lives. Vacation comes and they're lost, because it's 3 months without input. And then the pressures of trying to get into the crowd, be one of the crowd.
Yeah.
He says, if I could only have a mechanic shop where they could still come, we could fix a car, sell a car, give a car away. What an opportunity to enhance the community by giving them a trade, giving them purpose throughout the vacations, the summer vacation, and build something for their future. Because if you are a good auto mechanic, you can make a living.
Oh, you definitely can. And then on top of that, I was just thinking about this. On top of that, if they are helping an organization who helps those who are in need, you have Bright Futures Hours, you have all these types of things. And when you look, and one of the biggest things that I have grown uncomfortable or upset about in the recent years was when I was in high school, you had trade schools in the high schools.
Yeah.
You had electricians, you had these guys that were going in their junior, senior years. By the time they graduated, they were certified, they were this, They were working as a plumber and at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Welders, whatever. They've taken that all out of the schools. So what happens is, though, and it's like clockwork. Those kids that were in the trades,
So good.
when the summers came, they were still in the trade. And I know a lot of people that had idle hands. Ugh. My friends that were in trades did not have idle hands. Yeah, idle hands over here too. My friends didn't have idle hands because they were so tired from working and getting paid
Yeah.
in their trade.
Yeah.
And then they had a job and they got out while everybody else was trying to figure out what they did.
That is so good.
So after, oh man, if you need mechanics, I know mechanics. I know mechanics that love to give.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be interviewing one probably next month. Right now, that it's pretty hectic. But I also know if you want to look into anything else with electricians or plumbers and stuff, I know people who do that too. And they might be willing to help. So just let me know for sure.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And Martha Melendez, she's my mentor.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So, and she's good people.
She is good people.
And Mario's good
Love
people too.
They're amazing.
Well, you call him Lucian, I call him Mario.
Okay.
I don't know what other names he has.
Okay.
He's a sly devil, he is. So what do you? So now that we've talked about kind of like where we're at now,
Uh-huh.
what is your vision for what you see coming? What do you? We know what you have with the Christmas extravaganza. We know you have Cherished. We know you have all these things. What are you trying to now add on, to expand on, to, you know what I mean?
Besides the auto mechanics, we always like to look forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot easier to jump over a hole than it is to fall into a hole and try to get out.
Right.
And so we see the whole of affordable housing.
Yeah.
It's an issue. It's a growing issue. And again, a couple of years ago, the churches of Brevard County came together for an event, a Luis Palau outreach. Not only was it a couple of nights of events, but within that context, businesses joined together. We had a business outreach. They have help your schools effort, fixing up schools, painting schools, and just trying to touch every area of Brevard County. The outgrowth of that is what we call One Brevard. Love Inc. is part of it. Again, Love Inc. is a consortium of churches that are actually working together so that when someone comes and they have an issue, it's not just give them a fish to eat, it's give them the fish to eat, but also give them a fishing pole, teach them how to fish, so they don't have to come
That's
back
the
later
important part. Yes.
and have another fish fry.
Right.
So within that is the outgrowth, and we're involved in this, is what we call the One Brevard. One Brevard is an effort of churches joining together, and there are other groups trying to attempt the same thing, where we're trying to look at the issue of affordable housing, where along with Kevin Dardano, with Bethel Home Builders, an amazing man. This is something he saw years ago, and against who doesn't want to do something big and there aren't detractors from it? Oh, it'll never work. That won't happen. You're crazy.
Right.
You're leaving a good job for that. What are you thinking? You're off your rocker. Against all of those detractors, he has a vision of having affordable housing and incentives to have people go through home ownership classes, repair of your credit, financing behind, and he hooked up with 2 other Christians who have connections in the monies and the connections for financing, to bring through the church an educational moment where that over a period of time they learn what you really need to accomplish and to keep your house. Because a lot of people buy it and then they lose it.
Yeah.
To keep your house so that when they're released, not only did they have help in their down payments, but they have a future now because now they have a house that's affordable.
And the plan.
And the plan. And so that's in the making right now.
Beautiful.
They are working through the process along with the city of Palm Bay.
Nice.
Again, it's everybody working together for the common good.
Right.
And trying to develop a program that will increase the capacity. The person who's going, my rent just went up $300. How nice. Someone received the $300 extra. It didn't cost that much last year. Was the expenses more? No. We just know that we can charge you more because there are more people that are coming than there is housing, and so we're going to take it while the taking's good. Instead of thinking long term, what can we do to enhance the people's capacity to have a successful life?
Mm-hmm.
That's what affordable housing is all about. That's what I'm going to call it kingdom mentality of how you can be a blessing. Yes, there is a blessing. The bank's going to get their return on their investment. That's okay. But how can we help the average person attain a home that they can say, this is mine? And that's what we're working on.
And regardless of where they come from.
Doesn't matter where they come from.
No.
Doesn't matter what their background is. I mean, if you're repairing your credit, you have a checkered background, and it doesn't matter how could listen. Regardless of what happened in your past does not determine your future. Let's fix your past. Let's look at today. What can we change today to have a better future?
Right.
Let's do something together. Let's work together in building and forgiving and restructuring and giving the capacity for you to move forward.
Right.
Here's your fishing pole. Let's go fishing.
And I'm glad that you touched on all that, especially with the fishing part, because like my daughter, she has a boyfriend who does very well. He's an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
He does very well. But when you look at what you have to have for rent in order to even afford the rent, and then you look at and I'm a realtor, so I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this or not, but throw caution to the wind, right? I find it so crazy that you have people who have rented, and I've seen this. You have people who have rented for 10 years.
Yeah.
And the rent that they've been paying has been higher than the monthly payment that would be required to buy the house.
Yeah.
But the bank tells them they can't do it, even though they've been doing it straight for 10 years. Because they say they can't afford this payment. And I'm like, hold on a second. Even if you throw everything, PMI, everything on it, it's still less than what they've been paying. And what do you, and I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault in particular, but what I am saying is it's frustrating for me because then when I see someone who's making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, and they're being told, we can't do that, Or you see, for example, one of the biggest things that happens is you have a married couple. They have kids. They've just been told that the house has been sold to somebody that is not going to be renting it out. They're going to be living there.
Yeah.
So now, and they're told a month ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time, whatever it is. One person has great credit. The other one doesn't, though. But when you go to rent, you both have to be on it.
Yeah.
So this one has great credit. They both make great money, but this one doesn't. They paid their rent for 5 years, but now it's like, nah, that one person, we can't help you.
It's
and
crazy.
It's just been, and I've seen it because of hospital bills.
Yeah.
I've seen it. One lady was fighting cancer and wrecked her credit. The husband still was perfect. But they were like, nope. What do you mean?
Wow.
Like, what do you, it's a blessing she doesn't have breast cancer anymore. But it's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's frustrating, not just for people who are trying to find a place, but it's also frustrating. I get messages all day long. Hey, can you help me find something under $2,000 a month? And then I'm trying, but by the time you do that, you have 15 applications, and then you spend the money on the application 10 times to $750.
And whether they approve you or not. It's
I've been able to get, sometimes I can get it back.
Yeah.
Most of the time not.
Yeah. It's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
And that's really a shame. That's really a shame.
But I'm glad you're doing something about it, though.
Yeah. That's all we can do.
You know?
And I like that analogy that they have of that kid that's picking up starfishes that are strewn along the beach and throwing it in, and there's like thousands of it, and an old man's looking at him saying, what's he doing? There's thousands. He'll never get it. So he goes to the child and says, what are you doing? There's thousands of them. You're not going to make a difference. And he picks up another starfish and says, it'll make a difference for this one. And he throws that one into the ocean. And here's the key. Though I wish I could help everybody,
Yeah.
I know I can't. But who cares? Let me do for one what I wish I could do for the thousands. Might as well do one, because if everybody does one, eventually we'll get to the 1,000.
And so a little side story here on what you're talking about. So my 17-year-old, he was having a week where he just was not having it with anybody or anything. I was like, look, the longer you keep doing this, and the longer you're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
How about we just kind of just change our thought, change our thought. It's not that easy. Actually, yes, it is. You know what? We're gonna go. So I took him and I went to Publix, which is over here on Babcock and Palm Bay Road.
Okay,
That's the
yeah,
one
right
over
here.
Yeah. I used to live over in northeast off of Port Bianca.
Okay.
Port Malabar. So I said, all right, we're gonna go for a walk. So we go, for a drive. So we went, and then I said, all right, tell me where to stop. And he's sitting in the back seat, like, what are you, crazy? Like, what do you mean stop? He goes, I said, where do you want to go? Well, we used to go to Publix to get Hot Wheels because they were on little side things.
Okay.
And he goes, so he knows Hot Wheels are at Publix, we're passing Publix. Let's go to Publix. I knew what he was thinking though. He thought he was sly, but not so much. So I pulled into the Publix and I'm like, okay, he's still in a rotten mood. I'm like, okay. So we get out and I'm walking and I said, I want you to pay attention. So we're walking, I see this woman walking down the parking lot and she's looking. I smiled and I said, hey, how you doing? She kind of looked at me weird and she was just, hi. I'm good, how are you? I said, I'm good, good.
That's good.
And she walked, and then I kept doing it to everybody that walked, and all those people that were just, And then they started smiling, and then the person behind them was easier because they saw what I said. Hey, how you doing? Smile. You can't not smile at, you know what I mean? So, and then it just led, and I was like, look, you can still change. I mean, it just change it.
Yeah.
The energy, the give, all that stuff. Which now later translates, we were talking about kids earlier. And later translate, now he is a premier level soccer player. And so, but his thing is it, you know, and they get very, 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 very aggressive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there are days when it's just not his day. He takes it for what it is, the next day he moves on. That's it. Yesterday was yesterday. Same thing with my daughter. My daughter, beautiful, and she gave us a beautiful grandchild. You know, and even within the world the way it is today, and the blessing that the grandchild is, because her boyfriend's black, she's not, so you have a baby who's half black, half white.
Uh-huh.
And in the world that we're in, although it's a lot better than where we came from,
Yeah.
we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And even then, the blessings can be shown because the child doesn't know.
No, he doesn't.
The child is like, I mean, she has a little attitude, don't get me wrong. My granddaughter has an attitude. But yeah, so, but, you know, she's adorable though. And it's just kind of one of those things when you train the child up. And again, there were a lot of mistakes I made with my daughter.
Yeah.
That I didn't know at the time, but now I do. But then there were a lot of mistakes that I made with my oldest son that I didn't know at the time, but now I do.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things, and I think this is just the way it goes in life, and kind of what you touched on as well, is it doesn't matter how old I get, I'm still learning, I'm still growing.
That's true.
I'm still growing up. And,
That's true.
you know, a lot of times the kids, they look at their parents and they have it all figured out, not knowing they don't have a damn thing figured out.
Yeah.
Nothing. They're just going through the motions, doing the best they can sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm glad that you have such a events of giving, you know, with the Christmas extravaganza, trying to do the trade school. Let me know how that goes, because I would definitely love to help.
That's all in the beginning. It's in the beginning stages. So,
Well,
but we'll
we got to keep it moving though.
Yeah, we're keeping it moving.
And then the trade schools and all that stuff. I'm just, and the fair housing and for affordable housing.
Yes.
I am really excited about that one.
Yeah.
So what is it that you need in order to get it to go more?
Well, the first thing we're doing right now is as all the dots are being connected.
Okay.
Those who have rebuilt sections of Chicago, these are the people, the Christians that know how to give and make a difference, joining up with Bethel Homes and the city of Palm Bay. Right now, we're in the process of going, okay, how do we translate this into the practicalities so the average person knows what is going to be required, what can we do, how can we reach the down payment, incentives for down payments like $10,000. Sometimes the city has it, but then there are organizations that will also help make it, so that if you go through the classes and you learn the basics, then we'll help you get that down payment. But we're creating that curriculum right now. It's in the theoretical position. Now we have to translate that into something practical where people can actually go through a course. So that's where we're working right now. At the same time, we need people who have that understanding, who might say, you know what, I've got 3 acres.
Okay.
If I give you 3 acres, it's tax deductible.
Okay.
If I give you the 3 acres, can you utilize it to build those affordable housing and then translate that into the helping of people? The answer is yes, we can. Yes, we can. Section 8. There are people who are in that transition. They need to build up their credit.
Right.
They need to work on a stable job and address the issues that got them to where they are today. And so in the interim, they need a place where they can say, this is Section 8. Government's helping to pay for the mortgage, which means you don't have to pay all that mortgage, because there are mortgages, there are costs to building a house. Yeah. Those things have to happen. But Section 8 housing that the church can facilitate, so that they can have a bridge between I'm homeless because I couldn't pay the rent and they sold it. So
I've seen a lot.
Yeah, and it's happening more often now. There was someone in the city of Palm Bay that was working, that Suzanne was mentioning, that had it not been that they just happened to have a family in the city, they would have been homeless because they threw them out. And they're going, what? I can't get a rental. And they would have been thrown out into the streets. But a Section 8 housing that can facilitate the bridge between repairing the credit so that eventually they can buy their own home through this process that we're creating. We need people who would say either, I've got 20 rentals. I'll donate one home for Section 8 to the church so that they can use it to bridge that journey into home buying. Finances, I don't mind giving $1,000 towards designated, not taking out any administrative fees. No, if I give $1,000, will I be assured that $1,000 will go towards affordable housing? The answer is absolutely yes, because whatever someone designates, that's where it goes to in its totality. Any of those things, eventually when we start building, does anybody want to donate electrical to bring down the cost? Does anyone want to donate some hours to build a home? All of these things will work together.
Kind of like Habitat for Humanity.
Kind of like Habitat for Humanity.
Okay. I've done work with Habitat.
We have too.
Yeah.
We've actually helped build a house.
I have never been so humbled as a man twice my age outworking me. And I remember we were trying to put up this wall, and those things are heavy though.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's me and another guy, we're about the same age. I'm 190 pounds muscle, and I'm just like, yeah. And I look over and it's just this big old 60-something-year-old big old guy. He's just like man, I'm not humbled real quickly. Old people humbling the young real quick. And then he told me, I walked over to him, and this is the first time I ever heard this. I walked over to him and I said, man, I work out all the time. I'm 190 pounds. I'm jacked, And the guy that was next to me, he was probably a little bit smaller than I am, but he was jacked too. And I said, but how did you? And he goes, I said, how did you do this? And he goes, you've got gym muscle. I've got old man muscle. So now whenever my boys try to come up and they try to grab me and I just shove them off, they're stronger than I am on lifting weights. Yeah. But I just throw them off. How'd you do that? Old man muscle.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's so true.
But I am that's very good. So, have you thought about maybe? One of the things that I've had a vision for is one of the biggest things in my heart are homeless vets.
Yes.
You know, and downtown, just about all the homeless people know me.
Yeah.
And it's because sometimes I sit down with them, sometimes I see them on the bridge, I just sit down with them on the benches or wherever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need a hug, sometimes whatever it is, you know. And one of the things that is that a lot of the homeless, especially the vets that I've encountered, and I'm not saying this is the way it is, but is that they don't feel like they belong, so they don't bother trying to go into any situations where they are like basically outcast. Because that only enumerates the stress that they feel and the PTSD, whatever else that they have. Some of them are blessed because there's organizations that go out and they'll cut their hair for free.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. But trying to get them into a normal house could be a bit problematic. Have you ever thought of doing things like tiny houses?
Well, as a matter of fact,
One of the things I keep thinking about.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Palm Bay right now is in the process of legalizing tiny homes.
Nice.
Yeah, they're actually addressing that issue, even as you're mentioning it.
Yeah, and there are so many people that I know that they would just rather live in a little small, decluttered, almost like a minimalist way of living.
Yeah.
Like, I just need a bed. I don't even need a TV.
Yeah.
You know, I have my phone. What do I need a TV for?
I agree.
You know, and just because it's tiny doesn't mean it's small.
We have
I mean, it kind of does.
a couple, Vance and Jennifer Felper, who have what they call Faith Walkers Ministry.
Okay.
And they actually go at night into the homeless areas, into probably the very areas that you're going to, and they try to reach out to those people who are homeless. We want to develop, or they have the plans for maybe creating a place like the church parking lot, where people who are homeless but not jobless.
Got what you're saying.
Okay, they're out there in the woods because they can't afford a home. They're not jobless. They're not desiring to be in that place, because he says we've met some people who when you say you want to come out, he said no, we like living homeless.
Yeah.
There's actually some people who say I love it. I don't want to change.
I have friends that are nomads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so okay, that's their choice, but these are people who are homeless, don't want to be homeless, and so they develop a plan to where they could have reserved parking here. Where they can spend the night, know that they're protected, they're not going to be thrown out, they're not going to be say you have to move your car, where they're safe, to the point where we're even considering maybe having a porta potty nearby, so if they have at the middle of the night you need to go, guess what?
Right.
You need to go.
Right.
To where they can at least have some semblance of safety as they go through that process of going from homelessness again to where they would desire to be.
And it's a transition.
Yeah, it's a transition. So whether tiny homes, the church, and when I say the church, I don't mean this church, I mean the Big C church, the faith community are really, down the road, Truth Revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop Merton Clark, an amazing, impactful pastor. The home shelters, cold night shelters,
Right.
but actually helping people get from homelessness to gainfully employed and having a place to stay. The heart's there.
Mm-hmm.
The church is working together. We're really trying to make a difference. It is a process. We mentioned something like this, and already, 3 or 4 people going, "Can you help me?" I wish I could, but we're in the foundational stages. I wish I could help everybody. I can't help everybody right now. There are things out there that are available. Love Inc. is a great place to start that connects different churches working together, but ultimately we're all wanting the same thing. How can we make a difference?
One of the things that I wanted to touch on, what you're saying, just so that people understand, just because I've been there myself. I was homeless, but I was not homeless because I had to be homeless. I got tired with the world, and I said, I'm done. I snapped, not in a I'm gonna go hurt everybody way, but I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
Wow.
So then I just went out to the beach, and they called it this my summer vacation. I went out to the beach. I had my bodyboard in my bag. Then I went out there, slept under the overwalks and all that stuff. I would trade my board to get food, things like that. But one of the things that I learned, which really opened up my eyes, which even poured into my heart more for the homeless. You'll hear people get a job bum. You hear all these things.
Yeah.
You can't get a job if you don't have an address. You can't get a job if you don't have a driver's license.
Yeah.
You can't get a job, and people say, "Oh, well, you could just go, yeah, $25 for food," and then you have the people, which is another thing that kind of impacts me in the heart, is you have the people that give up hope on the homeless because they view them as just a bunch of drug addicts. My thing is if you were in their shoes, what would you do to forget all the pain and suffering that you're in? There's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not excusing drug addiction. I'm not excusing drug. But what do you expect to happen when they've lost their families?
Yeah.
So I mean, and you hear the horror stories from a lot of these people, and even the vets. They watch their buddies get blown up. They're the only survivor out of the squad. I mean, all these things that you don't hear about on the news.
Yeah.
And what it does to the psyche. Who are you to judge?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that in what you're trying to do, if someone who's homeless and does want to change, and like you said, there are people that I knew, you could not convince them, you could not pay them to want to do it. They were nomads. They just wanted to wander around the earth, and that's just what they did.
Yeah.
That's fine. But for the ones who do want to transition, they do. There is a process, because if they don't, then what's going to happen is they're going to be stuck in that vicious loop.
That is true.
And I'm so glad that there's a lot of thought being put into breaking that curse, breaking that loop for those who do desire. Because we were talking about homeless and having a job, and I know a lot of you are probably thinking, how can you have both? I'll tell you how. So, and I've seen this. I have somebody right now who is living in a hotel, and they're living in a hotel weekly. It's one of those weekly pay rates or whatever. Unfortunately, though, because of all the surrounding prices, those are going up. The way he got there was him and his wife. They both have jobs. They both have a car, but the house they were living in no longer rental. It became purchased. They didn't have the money or the credit to get into any other house.
Yeah.
So now they're living in the hotel. Well, the hotel's weekly rates are going up. The credit, not so as good. They still have their car. If it keeps going up, they now live in their car, no longer in the hotel. And then what happens is when you do that, then you don't have an address. If places find out you don't have a place of residence or anything, you come in not smelling optimal, not all these things, and what happens is that you don't have the money to fix your car even. So then you leave your car, and then you end up walking on the streets. People don't see that transition. I've seen it. I've seen it go the other way too. Just because somebody just happened to be there at the right time in the right place and said, "Hey, are you tired of where you're at?" "Yeah, brother, I am." "All right, come with me."
Yeah.
And then they end up teaching them as a helper or whatever, and then they go from there. But the fact that you guys are actually coming together and trying to build something to get people out of that, that's amazing.
Yeah. I like what one person said. Let your complaint be your calling. If your complaint,
I love that. I'm going to use that.
if your complaint is strong enough, it may be that God is calling you to address that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Wants you to be a part of that. And when you do have a complaint, if for an example, your complaint is lack of job training.
Mm-hmm.
If that complaint is big enough,
Mm-hmm.
then you will actually draw. It's almost like root systems that draw the nutrients that it needs.
Right.
It actually, the root system actually draws from its surrounding the very nutrients that it needs.
Right.
It's like a
In the
magnet.
soil, yeah.
When you have a complaint such as job training, and the complaint's big enough, you actually draw in the people that have the same complaint, and then they address the situation and they create the answer. And I think that's what's happening. I think there's just enough people that have the complaint,
Right.
that they're being drawn together to form that coalition to produce an answer, so that there is a future for people who want it.
Wow. Wow. That's just and it doesn't take it's like what was told. One of the secrets in life is to simply, one of the secrets to having a wife is to simply adore them. You know,
Okay.
you just adore them and you never stop.
Yeah.
All the things that you did to get her, you're gonna keep doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that if people would just realize that it really is the little things, and that everybody is capable.
Little things matter much.
Oh, they do. And when you get around people who are like-minded, it only multiplies.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just 1 times 1, 2 times 2. It's exponential.
That is true. That is so true.
And then that's one of the whole things. And people, and I've gotten a lot of comments and most of the communication I have about 321 showcasing the Space Coast is people will get me on the DMs. They hit me in the messengers. They don't really say anything in the comments or anything, which is fine. Whatever you need to know. And they're always talking about, I wish there was a way we could do this. I wish there was a way we could do that. I wish there was a way. And my whole thing with 321 showcasing the Space Coast is trying to find, in a selfish way, purely selfish, is trying to find people who are along the same wavelength as I am and trying to provide for the community that I'm in for what it is that they are lacking.
That's good.
And people like you, Adam and Chaquans, you have, Classic Candles, you have Dina, you have Crystal, you have, Tom, you have all these people. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I only hope it grows.
So too.
And I think it will. And then hopefully we can all get together and look back and see a community, no matter what the world is going on, no matter what's going on out there, that we can come together and just be kind of like, yeah, this is our community.
That's so good.
We forget about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing. Well, I know I've taken up quite a bit of your time.
Henry,
I know you're a busy man.
I've actually enjoyed this. And I've learned so much about you.
Oh, I've learned a lot about you, and I hope it was good things about
It
me.
was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Wow. What a difference of who you are today and what you went through before. And what a testament of overcoming. And that's amazing. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. One of the things, to touch on what you were saying from earlier about, you were talking about Betsy, is that I happen to be with someone who, because sometimes the past comes back, it comes up in your head.
Yeah.
Moments happen and it goes right back there. You know what I mean? And I am fortunate to be surrounded by people now. It's just kind of like the whole like minds think alike. I'm fortunate enough with Suki, Louie, you have Danielle, and the patience and the fortitude to say, okay, you just tripped. You just kind of, especially when you get those frustrations, and it's just kind of like in a place to come. So, but again, I really do appreciate it. So,
Great.
Today I'm at the house with Pastor Ken and talking all kinds of good stuff. But if you have any questions, we're gonna have the website up.
Yeah.
Do you have a Facebook page?
Facebook page.
Instagram?
Services at 9 and 11, and in August we're adding another service in the afternoon.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
All right, so be on the lookout for that. And then you've got Instagram?
I believe we do.
All right, then we're gonna find out, aren't we? And then I'm gonna put the Facebook page up. I'm gonna put all the things I can up and some pictures to go with it. So if you have any questions about anything, just go on the website. I'm gonna also put a number on there just to kind of see if you need to call, anything you need to do. But yeah, again, this is Henry Mims with Engel and Boca, getting the 3-2-1 on the house with Pastor Kenny, and I hope everybody kind of takes a look at this and sees that's something they can do.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you know what? I think I just might share your interview too.
Oh, well, thank you. Maybe. I'm famous now. Thank you, brother. I do appreciate it.
God bless you.
God bless you too.